the story from the small town of Whitesburg, Kentucky that folks are having a hard time understanding. Sheriff Mickey Stines on video inside the chamber of Judge Kevin Mullins shoots and kills the judge. The video has no audio, so we can only see and not hear what happened. Why would the sheriff do it? What was his state of mind? Today, the sheriff was back in court, and on the front burner, the psychological state of Sheriff Stines. Tonight, we'll bring in our own forensic psych to break down how a doctor can figure out what was going on inside the sheriff's mind as he was killing the judge. Was it rage? Was it a delusional break? Or was it done in cold blood? I'm Vinny Politan. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight on Closing Arguments. And the first question always, always, always when it comes to the case of the Kentucky sheriff and the judge is why? Why did he do it? It seems obvious. He knew he was going to get caught because he did it in the courthouse and turned himself in immediately. So this isn't one of those cases where someone's accused of taking someone else's life and then they try to get away with it. They flee the scene. They deny culpability. No, he turned himself in. So why did he do it? In the beginning, there was a lot of speculation because he called his daughter from inside the judge's chambers, from his phone, and then he used the judge's phone. I don't think the daughter picked up. So a lot of people thought, myself included, that seems like it could potentially be connected to this because it's what happened just prior to the shooting. Now, we haven't seen the whole video, and obviously we haven't heard anything because there is no audio on that video. And there's more to the video that we haven't seen. We've just seen sort of the part when he's up and already attacking the judge. What happened before? Our understanding is that the phone calls were made to the daughter. So is that somehow in some way connected to all of this? Well, it's been denied by the sheriff's family. His wife's sister in a GoFundMe said, listen, if you want to support us, don't support us because you think that the judge was doing something with the daughter. That has nothing to do with this. That's what they said. So there's no indication that that is necessarily connected. Now, there's something else big that was going on. Female inmates were assaulted in the judge's chambers. And the sheriff was being sued for that because it was one of the deputies that was working for him who was assigned to be the bailiff for the judge. So there's a nexus there. There's a connection connecting the sheriff and the judge and something that's kind of, you know, not on the up and up. Like there's something about this. And when we've talked about this, his lawyer has said, yes, this is part of it, but it's bigger. So what does that mean, bigger? What does that mean? Like this is a piece of it. And he had just been deposed that week in that civil case. It happened in the judge's chambers, but the judge wasn't being sued. The sheriff was being sued because it was his deputy who he was in charge of, even though he was assigned to be the judge's bailiff, and the assault, the sexual assault of the inmate was taking place after hours in the judge's chambers. So, is it about, or it is about, but we've got to figure it out, his mental state, right? What was it that made him do this? What was going on in his mind at the time? That's the question, because we haven't heard from his lawyer. We haven't heard from anyone. So how do you figure that out? Well, the sheriff can tell you, or an expert can come in, have that conversation, evaluate the sheriff and what was going on in his life and what was going on in his mind at the time of the shooting. Today, the sheriff back in court, it's all being done virtually, but that was the issue. We've been waiting for this. That was the issue. The defense wants him evaluated. Take a listen.
What we have spoken with Mr. Steele about is that we do believe there will be an issue as to criminal responsibility. We've consulted with, folks with regards to that issue. I reached out to Mr. Steele, and we basically decided that we would raise this as a joint motion. I know that, once we provide that notice, the Commonwealth is entitled to have their expert evaluate Mr. Stines. And out of expediency, I believe that Mr. Steele and I would ask for an order for that evaluation to go ahead and take place. There are a couple of issues I did want to address with regard to the examination. I don't think they will be at issue at all, but I did want to make a couple of notes. But that's how we intend to proceed, Your Honor, with the court's blessing.
All right, and in regards to what I generally would do, and I think that's probably the best course of action to go ahead and get that in the pipeline. It is going to require, what I would recommend is that we go ahead and get the order entered in regards to competency and criminal responsibility. I might as well go ahead and have that addressed, since we're going to be doing that, versus we've seen it sometimes be piecemealed, and I don't want to delay the proceedings if we would have to go back and redo that. I know KCPC will initially do a video interview of him initially, and then we'll notify, which is now required by law, and then they will then notify the court if a inpatient evaluation would be required.
We do not raise the issue as to competency, but I understand the court and the expediency of going ahead and examining that. I understand that, but I did want to make clear that our notice only concerned the criminal responsibility, Your Honor. My understanding with the, I believe it's Shawn's law, that made it more clear that our expert should be able to participate in the proceedings at KCPC.
This is taking a little bit of a turn from the discussion me and Mr. Barley had. I thought we was doing a competency evaluation. They always do the criminal responsibility behind it. But now he's saying that he wants his expert there during a criminal responsibility. I'm not comfortable doing a criminal responsibility if he's going to have an expert on that position unless we know what the issues are they're raising in the criminal responsibility with our expert.
Okay, so it's on the table now. Criminal responsibility, state of mind, legal insanity, right? Competency is what's his state of mind now? Can he proceed in the case? Does he understand what's going on? I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about why and what was going on when he shot the judge in his chambers. Joining me, forensic psychologist, Dr. John Delatorre. Great to see you, doctor. Let's begin here. Walk us through the process. This evaluation is going to be done about criminal responsibility, his state of mind at the time of the shooting that we've watched on video. What is that evaluation process like? Take us step by step what someone who's evaluating him will do.
So the first thing is kind of reviewing all of the discovery that's currently available. Now, obviously, discovery can come available all throughout the process, but initially at this point, you kind of want to see everything that both sides already have. You're going to start reviewing all these videos, right? Body cam, whether it's, from him being arrested or police cam in the car, whatever it is that you have, you want to take a look at it. When you actually get to talking to him, you want to spend some time talking to him about his basic background information. How did he grow up? Does he have any mental health history? Does he have any substance abuse history? And I think that's going to be the key thing here, because if we're looking at criminal responsibility, and I'm assuming what they actually mean is insanity, did he know what he was doing was wrong? Or in some jurisdictions, it's also, could they not comport themselves to the law as a direct result of some mental disease or defect? So you really want, as a psychologist and a psychiatrist doing these kinds of evaluations, you really want to tease out Was there substance abuse happening? Alcohol, marijuana, methamphetamine is something that I see a lot. These kinds of things can influence someone's decision making and lower a person's inhibitions to engage in a behavior that they wouldn't have typically done if not under the stress of whatever it was that was going on in their lives, along with the substance use. And that's the other piece, is what other stressors were going on in that individual's life and how were they managing or mismanaging whatever those stressors were.
So it seems a lot of this depends upon what the defendant is going to tell you and how honest they're going to be, right? I mean, that's part of it. So how do you determine, how do you figure out when they're being truthful and when they're saying something that they may think helps them, or say something that's not the truth?
Yeah, I don't spend too much time worrying about liars, because the issue, the reality is that these individuals are going to lie to me about something. So I don't spend too much time worrying about, are they lying to me about this, that, or the other thing, because I know that they are. I spend more time looking at consistencies. What is consistent from the story that he's telling me to the objective evidence that I have? If I don't see any consistency between the two, who else can I talk to? What other family members are available to let me know what was going on in the weeks, maybe month that led up to this this time? Sometimes it's really about how other people see you. I don't spend too much time worrying about, you know, the subject, right? The examinee, right? What his story is, that's only one piece of the pie. Family members, friends, co-workers, objective information, clear evidence obtained by police and medical examiners, all of these kinds of things, I think, weigh more than just the story that I'm being told.
And will you ask him about the shooting itself? I mean, do you go there to the day that it happened, and do you walk through what he did?
Oh, absolutely. And I'll even go a little bit past it. It really depends on the crime that the person has been charged. If the person's been charged with murder, then we're going to spend a lot of time talking about how did you decide that this was the thing that you want to do? How did you feel when all of this was happening? What did you think was happening when all of this was happening? And then talking a little bit more about, what did you do afterwards? Now, we're not going to spend too much time on there. If the person hasn't been charged with evading arrest or anything like that, we're not going to spend too much time, because the reality is that if someone, let's say, was insane at the time of the offense, across the timeline, there's clearly going to be a point where someone becomes sane. So you don't want to go too far down the road on the timeline of the events as they were unfolding, right? You really kind of want to stick to what was going on in the hours, minutes, seconds leading up to it, and then kind of the seconds and minutes and maybe hour following, to see how well established the delusional aspect of what they thought they were doing has settled.
And if someone has that break from reality, right, and they're in some sort of delusion, afterwards, can they always recall it? Like, do they remember being in the delusion? Do they recognize that it was an altered, like, delusional state? How do they reconcile, like, being here speaking to you versus, you know, a few months ago I was in the judge's chambers and this was happening?
Yeah, and honestly, Billy, that's the hard part, because when you're speaking to them, it's usually weeks, months, maybe even years after the event has already occurred. So they can already be loosened from whatever that delusional state was, whatever it was that was going on. They can be loose from it, from medications, or they're off drugs. Anything could have happened in which they're telling you, yeah, I recognize that this thing was wrong, but they're telling it to me now, that they recognize it as wrong now. The retrospective aspect of conducting a sanity evaluation makes this so much more difficult, because you have to know what were they actually thinking then, not so much what they're thinking now. And that's where other people and the objective evidence that you get can kind of guide the way to determining how settled that actual delusional aspect was.
Dr. John Delatorre, forensic psychologist, great to have your insight. We appreciate it. Thank you so much. All right, check out the body cam video of Sheriff Stines' arrest. It was posted on YouTube by Hatfield McCoy Museum Adventures.
There he is. They're using handcuffs and they're putting him in the police cruiser.
Be fair to me. You done it. Was it over your family? Come on now, guys. What are you doing? I was talking to you. Something did happen. You know. I mean, it'd be good to let us know. Why did you want to talk to your daughter while ago? Something did happen. What led to this?
And there you hear the deputy is asking questions, not getting much of a response there. The only thing he said that we could really comprehend was he said, be fair with me. Be fair with me. All right, let's bring in our think tank tonight. Joining me, trial attorney, big case Michael Jafer is with us. Also joining us, Chief Public Defender for Oakland County, Michigan. She represented the Oxford High School shooter, Paulette Lofton, and the attorney who represented Johnny Depp in his defamation case and fellow of the American College of Trial Lawyers, Ben Chu. Great to see everyone tonight. All right, Michael, let me start with you. This is where I thought this case might go in some way, but I guess it depends upon the results of this evaluation. But I mean, this has to be the defense. I don't know what other defense there is when the whole thing's on video.
This explains a lot, Vinny. Last year when I saw the flash on my phone that said, Kentucky sheriff murders judge in chambers with his gun and then turns himself in, I thought this is definitely a meme. And then when I found out that it wasn't a meme, I said, for sure, something happened, some psychotic break happened. I'm not a doctor, but there's no way on earth that this would happen in any other way other than this person having a psychotic break from reality. And so this explains a lot. We've been in these conversations with clients in jailhouses where, hey, it's very awkward. You're going to have a competency evaluation, a criminal responsibility evaluation. But this would explain a lot. The way he was looking for this judge under the table is the way I look for missing keys, or I drop a cracker and I don't want my wife to yell at me, so I look for the cracker under the table. That's how he was looking for a sitting judge. The trust that judges have with these bailiffs and these sheriffs, it's like the president and the Secret Service, or an infant to their parent. You're in their hands, and I don't think this has ever happened before. So just imagine just the power you have over this judge, and you're a bailiff or a sheriff. So he must have had a psychotic break, and this would explain a lot.
Yeah, Paulette, there's been a couple of things, right? That week he was deposed in the case involving the sexual assaults of inmates that was taking place after hours by one of his deputies in the judge's chambers where the shooting took place. So a lot of people it's connected to that. He snapped. Maybe the judge was up to no good, did something to him. I don't know, but it seems more likely to me that there was some delusional aspect to what the sheriff was perceiving and what was happening.
I agree. I think that deposition really is going to be brought in when we are told more about the facts of this case. I think that's got to be important. It happened in the judge's chambers, the same chambers that then the judge is executed in. So I do think that that's going to be important. Criminal responsibility exams are tough, though. If he worked that day and everything seemed normal and he was able to conform his behavior to the normal rules of his duties as a sheriff, and everything was fine. I mean, we know for sure he went to lunch with the judge earlier that day. I would think if he was acting absolutely out of character, the judge would have either sent him home or said something to someone. And we see afterwards, he turns himself in, he conforms to what he knows he has to do. He puts his hands behind his back, he's handcuffed, there's no issue. He answers questions appropriately. So it's really going to be tough with criminal responsibility. But I do think there obviously was something going on with him and his state of mind at that time.
Yeah, but Ben, it seems he knows right from wrong because he knows he just did something and he has to turn himself in. The question is, did he feel like he was justified in his mind? Because the other statement that's been attributed to him was that they're trying to take away my wife and my kid. Mm-hmm. To me, that sounds like it was someone other than the sheriff coming into the judge's chamber saying the judge is trying to take my wife and kid and takes him out. I'm like,
there's probably something going on mentally, some sort of a break. So I think that's where we are. It's just that it's the sheriff that makes it so different.
Yeah, it really does. And I think it's going to be a steep climb for him to prove that he's not competent to stand trial in these circumstances.